It is a non-negotiable. If you skip this step, you're going to be dead in the water, or your results will be fleeting at best. Today in this video, we're going to go over what is perhaps the most important video that you will need to boost your testosterone naturally. This video will be worth your time if you know that you have low testosterone, if you have the related symptoms of low testosterone, such as low energy, low libido, you're losing muscle mass, you're gaining body fat, you're suffering from chronic inflammation, or if your blood markers are out of range, meaning you know clinically that your total testosterone is out of range, your serum testosterone, your free testosterone, and or your estradiol, which is your estrogen markers, are out of range. You may also have a total cholesterol that is out of range, meaning that the total cholesterol is out of range. Your bad cholesterol, which is your LDLs, are out of range. And your HDL, which is your good cholesterol, is out of range. So if you're anywhere in that category, this video will absolutely be worth your time. Now, why should you listen to me? I am Coach Terrence Thomas. I have been coaching athletes, executives, and entrepreneurs for over 35 years now. I'll put up my quintessential credential, which is me here at age 15, and this is me here at age 51, going on 52. And the reason why I've been able to maintain this level of health, vitality, and fitness is because of the techniques and principles and ideas that I'm about to share with you right now. So back to it. So here's why this video is going to help you. If you're someone who wants to make changes before it's too late meaning you have a chronic illness and or injury, if you want to learn how to increase your testosterone using diet, training, and supplementation, if you want to make your current testosterone replacement therapy protocol more effective, in other words, if you're already on TRT, the information that you're about to learn will make it more effective, okay? If you want a viable PCT strategy, PCT means post-cycle therapy strategy. If you want to learn how to transition away from TRT without crashing, if you want skills to master pillar number 3 of my physical dominance blueprint. If you have not seen the video where I break down my physical dominance blueprint, there should be a way to access that somewhere in this video. But this video will give you strategies on how to optimize pillar number 3, which is hormone optimization. The 4 pillars are frame and fitness, number 2, organ health, number 3, hormone optimization, pillar number 4 is your stress management, lifestyle, and self-sabotaging beliefs, as we'll call it for now. So it is my mission, again, to help men like yourself achieve what I call maximum congruency, meaning that not only do I want you to have the money that you've worked so hard for, but I want you to have the muscles, the physical dominance, and the mindset to dominate all aspects of your life. So that's why you're here. So if you have not done so already, please like and subscribe, as it greatly helps me get this information out to more men like yourself. With that being said, let's dive into the meat and potatoes of today. So the first thing that we must understand is this: diet is the foundation for boosting testosterone naturally. Let's dive into why, okay? Proper diet is a non-negotiable. It is a non-negotiable. If you skip this step, you're going to be dead in the water, or your results will be fleeting at best. They will be like Jello. Eventually it'll melt and slip through your fingers, which meaning that you'll be able to hold on to your results for a while, but you will never be able to sustain them long term. So there is no supplement that will override the total body effects of diet, period. What you eat, what you put through your body is not going to override a poor lifestyle, and supplements and testosterone isn't going to override the effects of diet. Your food has just too much of a powerful effect on your physiology to do that. So number one, okay, no supplement, no hormone, no peptide will override a proper diet. Okay, listen, if you do not master your nutrition by understanding what your body needs to stay healthy and functional, you'll never achieve maximum congruency and physical dominance. You will continue to chase the next shiny object, failing over and over again. And that will be the story of you. I'm belaboring the point because I've seen too many men make this mistake thinking that they can, jump to results with the new gadgets out there. It's never going to happen. Okay. I'm not here to sell you anything but the absolute truth to help you save time, money, frustration, and potentially hurting yourself. So here we are. Okay. If you don't get anything else of value from this video or from this channel, know this: diet protocol, supplements, drugs will only be as effective as, number one, the skill and experience of the user, and number two, the level of compatibility with your health, body, and metabolism. Testosterone replacement therapy, supplements, even diet, they're all tools, okay? As you know, there is no shortage of information out there, and it all works for somebody. They're all tools. What's going to make the tool effective is the skill of the user and the appropriateness of the tool being used at the time. Okay, so it's important that you begin to think critically if you want real, lasting, long-term results. Okay, taking this approach is how you take out the guesswork. It totally eliminates it from the equation, so you don't waste time and you don't waste money. This is how you reduce the risk of negative side effects. Huge problem, as you know, the prevalence of the use of testosterone for replacement and health reasons is going up. The downside of this is that there's going to be guys who are taking the testosterone who are unhealthy and don't know how to manage themselves. And as a result, at some point, they're going to start to suffer more negative side effects than positive side effects. What I'm about to teach you is going to help you not be in this category. All right, we want results and we want to keep them, and we want to have increasing results over time. Okay, this is how you operate with precision so you get better with time, just like what I said. All right, so just to reiterate, diet is the foundation for increasing your testosterone naturally. All right. So I know I took the long way home in getting to this point, but it's important that you understand what the foundation is. What is the foundation? Sometimes with the foundation, you have to dig deep in order to lay it down solid. So that's what we just did. Okay. So now, nutrition is another concept. Okay. Here's what I want you to understand. Diet is the strategy, but nutrition is the result of that strategy. Poor nutrition means you don't have the raw materials to make testosterone. This is where nutrition comes in. You need proper nutrition to make the raw materials to make testosterone. Let's talk about raw materials. If you want a practical guide to help you apply what you're learning, get my book, Belly Shred Method. It's a system that I created specifically for men to help you improve your metabolic health, give you a practical routine, workouts, nutrition plan, and stress management system to keep you on point. It's sustainable. If you're a man 35 plus looking to get lean, find a sustainable way to stay in shape without
hours in the gym, this is the program for you. So to get a copy of that book, there should be a link somewhere in the description. Now back to your program.
Getting into a little bit of physiology here. Testosterone is what we call a lipid-based hormone, which means that we need a fat or cholesterol source to make testosterone. Testosterone is a cholesterol derivative, and testosterone, as well as all of your sex hormones, require a cholesterol molecule in order to be made or synthesized. Nutritional cholesterol comes from fat, particularly saturated fat. Okay, so here's your 1 to 2 minute PhD on how testosterone is made, so you kind of understand where testosterone falls in the hierarchy of your body making hormones, or sex hormones in this case. Okay, so it starts out with cholesterol, right? Then cholesterol combines with thyroid hormone to then start your whole sex hormone pathway, which it starts with pregnenolone, which is, they call that the mother hormone. All right, so now pregnenolone can go in 3 directions. It can go into to making DHEA, which is the step before testosterone. It can go into making progesterone, which is the female-based hormones, but progesterone does have some benefits for males that we'll get into later. Or it can go into cortisol. Now, let me talk about this for a second. Depending on the amount of stress, depending on the amount of imbalance in your metabolism, the amount of pregnenolone that gets converted to DHEA versus cortisol will vary. If you have more stress, the physiology will undergo something called a cortisol steal, meaning that this molecule will get stolen from DHEA to make more cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So the more cortisol you have, typically your testosterone will be lower. If you go back to my previous video, I go over the fact that testosterone and cortisol are what we call antagonistic, meaning that if one's high, the other one's typically low. That concept was discussed in more detail in the video discussing how testosterone affects your brain, if you wanted to go back and reference that. So, depending on your stress loads, depending on your lifestyle, depending on your body's ability to thrive, it's gonna get converted either to cortisol or DHEA. Obviously, if there's enough DHEA, your body will then make testosterone. Okay, then depending on how your body metabolizes testosterone, there's going to be a percentage of that gets converted over to estrogen. We call that, again, aromatization. Again, many of you may know this, but it's important that we lay down the foundation to make sure that we're all on the same sheet of music, which will be important here in a second. All right, so now that we got that out of the way, we need raw materials. The raw materials typically comes from cholesterol, i.e. fat. In order to make sure that you have enough raw materials on board, this is where the nutrition comes in at, okay? You must have the right fuel on board according to what you need. The right fuel enhances this whole process that I just explained, okay? The right fuel will enhance this process, and the wrong fuel will shut this whole process down or make it increasingly more difficult for you to make testosterone. So think of it this way. Your body is this ninja accountant. It's always trying to figure out where to send the money, where the money in this case is the energy, okay? Your body only has a certain amount of energy to do certain things. And your body is always thinking about hierarchy of systems, like what's gonna kill us fastest and what's going to keep the body functioning the best. It takes precedence. Case in point, if your body's having to worry about immune functions, immune stressors, toxicities, and all types of stressors, testosterone comes down to a lower priority, okay? Because the body will always send energy to the most important aspects first. So this is where taking in the wrong fuel exacerbates this wasting or reprioritization process. It's like your body tends to start robbing Peter to pay Paul in order to survive. Okay, this is what happens when there is a nutritional deficiency, or if your diet isn't proper for your individual metabolism. Okay, just giving you some deeper perspectives on the consequences of a poor diet. Bottom line is, when you're eating the wrong foods, your body then has to start to steal energy away from its base resources in order to survive. When you eat the right foods, you build on the whole process. Okay, so what is the right fuel? This is where things start to get a little bit tricky. And this is where I would say 98% of people have no clue about this particular aspect of nutrition. So this is very important that you pay attention to this, okay? So what is the right fuel? Or in other words, what is the right diet? Okay? The right fuel is the one that meets the following criteria. Okay? The first criteria is this: that diet has to promote optimal fuel conversion, meaning that your ability to convert proteins, carbohydrates, and fats to usable energy must be efficient enough to maintain your individual physiology. Okay, depending on your genetics and a few other factors, everyone's optimal fuel type is going to be different. And this is where having a deep understanding of how your body works is essentially the game changer in making all of this work. Okay, so the second criteria is that your fuel type must balance and regulate your blood sugar. If what you're eating is causing your blood sugar to undulate all over the place, it's going to be virtually impossible to raise your testosterone, because your body will then chronically be in a stress mode. Remember, when your blood sugar drops, your body thinks and your cells think you're going to die. So that shoves your physiology into a stress environment. And if you do that, the pregnenolone will then get stolen to make more cortisol, which means that you're going to have less raw material to make your DHEA and therefore testosterone. And this is all coming back from diet. So you want to make sure that what you're eating is stabilizing your blood sugar. There's different ways to monitor your blood sugar, especially these days. I'm looking into a few different technologies that are going to work great, but you can obviously track your blood sugar via symptom. Or if you want to use more advanced technology, you can use a CGM or a continuous glucose monitor. If you want to go old school and go straight finger prick, it's worth at least monitoring it for a couple of weeks, so that way you can understand how you feel versus what's actually happening in your blood. So just from personal data, it's worth doing it in whatever form you see that works for you. All right. And then the third criteria is this: your fuel type and your diet must be gut and digestion friendly. In other words, not just your gut, because what happens is, if your gut is happy, that means that your ability to control inflammation will also be happy, which will then make your immune system happier as well. So gut is almost like a multi-tiered KPI, or key performance indicator. So really important. As we know now, there are many implications to gut health and gut microbiome. We're starting to understand how it affects everything in regards to hormones, blood sugar, and overall health. I get a little bit deeper into this concept inside of my book, The Belly Shred Method, which should be somewhere in the description if you wanted to have a working model to dive deeper into this particular aspect. But I digress. So here's something that I want you to understand that's really important, okay? In regards to criteria number 3. Hormones will not regulate in the presence of inflammation and or immune stressors. It's an evolutionary thing. Think about it. If you got cooties and bacteria and pathogens attacking your body, that's an immediate threat to life, which means that your body is not going to prioritize reproduction, which is essentially one of the main reasons for testosterone. So again, since the body is always operating on these hierarchy of functions, if you have inflammation, if you have chronic infections, now I'm not talking about active infections. I'm talking about there's a lot of infections that operate on what we call subclinical. You can have a fungal infection, you can have a parasite infection, you can be exposed to environmental toxins, you can be exposed to things like Epstein-Barr, mono, undiagnosed Lyme disease. All of these pathogens are essentially endocrine disruptors. So you have to understand how that's affecting you and making sure that the food that you're eating is not making any of those problems worse. We'll obviously get into way more detail in regards to this as we move forward. A lot of this, what I'm speaking about, will be under the pillar number 2, which is the health optimization blueprint and organ health and things like that. So you'll see more of that. But for now, just know that this is how your diet directly affects your ability to make testosterone. Now, I know hopefully it's starting to come together with you now in terms of how important diet is and the deeper consequences that could potentially occur if you don't get this part right, which is why we're going super deep into this topic. All right. So getting back to fuel type, how do we determine fuel type? Okay. You have 3 options to determine what and how you need to be eating in terms of your individual needs. All right. So option number 1 is this. You can guess. You can try a few different protocols until you find your sweet spot. It's what most people do, and that's perfectly fine. You'll end up wasting more time. You may have to hit some bumps in the road in the process, but it is an option. But if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you want something a little bit better, but just, again, laying out the options, okay? Option number 2 is that you try a few of the more popular protocols, such as keto, mixed macros, which is typically your typical bro science type of macros, depending on what your goal is. Like, for example, if you're wanting to just gain muscle and overall, you're going to go higher carbohydrates. You're going to go maybe like a 60, 30, 10, or something along the lines of what we call a zone diet, or 40, 30, 30, or something like that. Or even one of the more popular protocols that we're going now, which is some people are doing the sugar diet, which is another shift in macros. But again, that's another video, but it's something that you can try. You can go paleo. All right. So the reality is that all of these work for someone, but the question is, will it work for you? Right? You have a structure here, but you still have to guess. So we can approach this from one more level of efficiency, and that would be option number 3, which is to assess, plan, execute, and track. Right? Assess means that you're taking out the guesswork, and having a proper assessment helps you determine your fuel type based on your unique metabolic and performance needs. Plan, then you can create a plan. You can create a strategy that best fits your needs and goals. And then you execute this plan. But in order to execute the plan, it has to be viable based on your current mindset, skill set, and lifestyle. This goes back to the old saying, the best program that you can be on is the one that you're willing to execute. So this is the art of picking the right program, picking the right plan. These are obstacles that I've had to navigate with coaching clients over the years. So it's all of these little subtle deals you don't see until you actually start running a plan. It can be the best assessment, but if the plan isn't viable for the person's schedule or their willingness to commit, if the plan occupies too much of their bandwidth, we're dead in the water before we even start. So that's why this particular aspect is important in terms of execution. And then we track it. Okay, are you getting regular feedback at a frequency to keep moving the needle? Okay, what are the KPIs that you should be tracking? Your food choices, like which foods are you eating? You're tracking your macros. You're tracking your sleep. you're tracking your body weight, you're tracking your body fat or body composition, you're tracking your inflammation to determine how the food is affecting that third criteria. You're tracking physical performance. And physical performance can be essentially broken down into a few subcategories themselves, which is libido, strength, endurance, and mobility. Okay, so these are all the things that you have to track in order to, one, make sure that what you're eating is compatible to what you need, and to be able to start getting accurate data in terms of your ability to produce testosterone, okay? Because before you can produce more testosterone, you have to first eliminate all of the things that are preventing you from producing testosterone, which is essentially what we've covered here. So this is important. It's like what I mentioned in the previous video. I was saying you have to put out the fires first before you start the rebuild. It's like if you're trying to rebuild a house that's had a fire, you got to make sure the fire's out first before you start the renovation. Approaching your testosterone boosting journey in this way allows you to do that. All right, so the takeaway here is this: diet is the foundation for increasing testosterone. Okay, diet must provide the raw materials to make testosterone. And the third takeaway is you have to determine your ideal fuel type using guesswork or an accurate system for helping you save time, injury, and potentially money as well. All right, so if you want to do that, you can go take my fuel type assessment that I've developed based on my 35 years of experience and coaching. There should be a link in the description for you to access that assessment, and you can have a working plan or a working starting point to then start making better decisions. All right, so in part 2, I will dive into the specific supplements to boost testosterone naturally and how that plays into everything that we're trying to do here. So again, if you have not done so already, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.